Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to do a comparison of 3 of the 4 Balvenie single barrels. The old 15 that's discontinued, the current 21-year-old, and then the 25-year-old that they were kind of going with the last few years, but I also heard was recently discontinued. Dustin, all these whiskeys matured in traditional oak barrels, which means whiskey barrels that are refill barrels. Refill bourbon barrels. And then they're all bottled at 47.8% ABV, unchill filtered. Decent ABV. We always like for it to be right around there. And again, we're a big fan of all of these whiskeys. So once we did the review on the 21, a few people said they wanted to, I mentioned maybe doing a comparison of all 3 of these. People seem to be interested in it. So here we are.
Yep.
Here we are reviewing them. All right, so let's just take how we normally do, Dustin. Nose first, and then we'll get into taste, throw water, and go from there.
Yep.
Let's start with the youngest one, the 15 single barrel. A whiskey, Dustin, that was one of the 2 whiskeys I always looked for in a shop every time I went. I always looked for this in the Lafroig 18. Every whiskey place I ever went always had these whiskeys readily available. Was always $99 here in Columbus, and a whiskey that I always had 2 or 3 of at all time, and probably have 2 cases in my closet of right now. Great whiskey.
That I bought you.
That you found for $80.
Yep.
You didn't exactly buy it for me. I mean,
Yes. I picked it up for you.
Yeah, that's a better way to say it. And here's why. This is a beautiful whiskey. I mean, this whiskey to me has all these nice little fruit notes in it. I mean, you get kiwi.
It is really fruity.
Pineapple.
It is really fruity. I mean,
honestly,
honestly.
tropical fruits. Very reminiscent of the Macallan 21 as far as the tropical fruit notes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a sour, but in a really nice fruity sour way with like dark honey.
Get a little bit of lemon in here. And you're right, there's dark honey. Of course, there's vanilla. Kiwi and strawberry, both I know they're very slimlar, but like a green strawberry, which is kiwi.
Kiwi for sure, man. I mean, that's not a note I ever come up with, but man, kiwi for sure.
A little bit of passion fruit. A little bit of, it goes so far acidic as to get to pineapple. That's probably the most acidic note I get on it.
I don't quite get to that. There's also just a density to this one. Like, it noses denser than that ABV, and it noses older than 15 years. Now,
how old is this?
This one is a 16-year-old, I believe.
With all the single barrel bourbon series, they always have the when it was distilled and when it actually went into the when it went to the barrel and then when they actually bottled it.
See that? I don't know if you'll quite be able to make it out with the light there, but
yeah, and they all do it. And usually, what the nice thing is you get older whiskey than whatever is stated on the label. For instance, like this 25 is 28 years old, just a week shy of 29. This 21 is 22 years old. And
this is 16, 96 to 2012, and so there you go.
Yeah. So that's always been a nice little thing about Balvenie. So that's why it's nice to have all that disclosure at the bottom as far as, what cask it
came Mike,
from.
I don't know if you guys can see on camera, but this is distinctly darker than the other 2 bottles, which tells me
it's colored.
There's got to be color in this one because there's no way it got all that extra color from.
As a matter of fact, the 15 is the darkest, the 21 is in the middle, and the 25 has the least amount of color.
Yeah. We were just talking about that before we went live. Like, really?
I guess we know Balvenie colors all their whiskeys, even these then.
Yeah, and my guess is because this was probably the more mass-marketed bottle. This was a little darker. This was kind of their standard. Honestly, like if you were trying to step up from the 12 Doublewood, this was the next one you'd get probably.
This or the 17 Doublewood, yeah.
I don't know if the 17 Doublewood was around when this first got released, though. I think
probably
the Doublewood came out after.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And so, anyway, my guess is they added a little color here to make it a little more appealing to the average consumer.
Yeah, but a great whiskey for a number of years. Man, I tell you, I want to give me a papaya on this. Man, it's just a fruit salad.
Yeah, I mean, the oak has added beautiful fruit notes, and then the Balvenie sweetness is adding that honey, and then there's just something dark about, or dense. And I only think of that because we're getting ready to jump into 2 much more delicate, I believe, Balvenies.
Well, let's get into it. All right, let's go to the 21. Lighter, fresher, cleaner.
Yes.
A lot more simple. Very straightforward with the notes comparatively.
Yes. I mean, there's not nearly... I don't get oak here on the nose at all, Mike. I know it's here,
vanilla. Honey, vanilla. Bang, bang.
Yep. I still get that cereal grain note that I brought up when we did the review for this one.
Like a gunslinger in the Wild West. He's good at 2 things. Left and right. Bang, bang.
Yeah.
Honey and vanilla. That's what this is.
I do get a hint of sour, which I'm going to associate with maybe a light pineapple.
You're right. It nose not long enough to do get the sour, and that's reminiscent of the review.
Yeah, just light pineapple.
Yeah, I'm not getting hardly any of the fruits that I get on the 15 on this one at all.
I mean, comparatively, there's much less to this nose, but it's
what it does
beautiful.
Nice.
It's gorgeous nose.
Yes. Do you want 10 things that are all 7s, or do you want 3 things that are 9s?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Dead on, Mike.
Besides that bitter note, but yeah, very
Even
much
that bitter
easier
note
to
I
unravel.
kind of like here, honestly.
Much easier of a whiskey to unravel, especially on the nose. Beautiful smelling nose. I mean, really, I was really impressed with the nose on the 21, but really the 15 smells beautiful too because the fruits keep changing.
Yeah.
I love a transition in a whiskey.
Same.
Love it. And that 15 single barrel, it definitely does that. So I don't know. I would say the 15 is more interesting nose so far. 21's probably a better nose as far as, the richness of the smells. But we'll get into it. 25.
I'm getting glue, Mike.
Even more.
It's similar to the 22 and the
21.
cleanliness.
Yeah,
like 20,
it is.
It's clean. It's simple. It's to the point. But
It's vanilla, and it's vanilla and it's honey again.
my nose is almost at the point where I can't smell vanilla honey anymore because they're all the same. But I'm getting like a little bit of a glue at the end of this
Go
one.
back to 15 for a second. And it comes off sharp citrus now.
This is way more fruity. And it's darker just in general. Color and the notes on it here are just darker.
Yeah, see, the 25 to me is very reminiscent of the 21, but it's just muted. It's vanilla and honey, but just not as much vanilla and honey. But there is none of that bitter note. Bitter note is completely gone.
I'm getting off oak notes on this thing, Mike.
What do you mean by off? Give it to me.
Like wood glue. I'm getting a little bit of a glue note at the end there.
All right, go back to the 21.
21 is so much more vanilla up front. It's almost like powdered sugar up front.
You have
And
more
then
citrus on this.
I'm getting a little bit of citrus on it. Whereas this one, I almost get nothing up until, I get nothing distinct. It's the lightest of the 3, and then I get this, I get wood glue at the end, man.
I get wood glue. It's an oakiness.
There's more oak on this one. Actually the 15 might have the most oak, to be honest with you, Mike. I mean, the 25 almost has no nose. Like, it is so light comparatively.
It is. It takes a second to get to it, especially after doing these 2 first. But it has a old 25-year-old nose to it, in my opinion. That nice, soft oak note is there. But you're right, it's subtle compared to the other 2. Very subtle.
You definitely can tell there is some older oak on this one. Although that said, all 3 of these have nice old oak notes. Even the 15, which is younger, smells older than it is.
I mean, you see this 25 though. I bought 2 of them. This is just now reaching halfway, and I've had this open for year and a half.
I know that was open the first time I came up here in 19, unless you killed that bottle. And this is a
No,
new one.
no, it's the same one. I had maybe 2 years then, 2.5 years.
Yeah, at least.
Maybe it's kind of tired out slightly.
Well, but I mean, again, the fill level's pretty high, and this is a good proof. It shouldn't have faded too much.
No, that's too much. All right, let's go back let's just go ahead and go to the taste.
Okay. I did start getting some cereal and grain notes here,
Yeah,
it's there. It's just much more subtle than these others.
Well, when you said you're barely getting anything, I remember one time I was having a Balvenie 21-year-old Portwood, and I don't know what day it was. It was kind of hot out, but I was like, I'm not getting a lot, but it just took a second for me to, just work my way into it. But again, that's not really what you want with a 25-year-old whiskey that costs $650. You don't want to work your way into it.
No.
You want it to show up.
It's too subtle on the nose for the price and age. Just
Absolutely.
high level glance over here.
Yeah,
we'll get more into it as we get water. I think water's going to open up a little bit as well.
All right, let's go back to this 15. Take a sip.
God, it smells good, man.
It's just so fruity.
Fruity, and then I'm getting I'm starting to even get a little bit of brown sugar. Just a hint, something in the nose, just a little bit. And I don't think I would have picked that up unless comparing it. I'm also getting a little bit of a varnish. Almost like a good, well-aged bourbon. Mike, what are you getting on the palate?
Oh man, those fruits it's amazing how fruity this whiskey is. I mean, seriously it is. I mean, the tropical fruits on this whiskey is incredible. So again, right off the bat, that kiwi's right there, that kiwi/strawberry, because there is something red berry note to it, but it's distinct kiwi. I would say papaya, maybe a little bit of passion fruit or some type of tangerine orange is not very acidic. But then here's vanilla, here's honey coming in kind of at the end. No off notes, beautiful whiskey. My goodness, I underappreciated this whiskey when it was so readily available.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I'm trying to get Mike to sell me a bottle.
What'd you buy me, 5 for $80?
Something like that, yeah.
Suppose that's what you want to buy it for, $80?
Ballpark.
Okay. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely getting the tropical fruits, but for me, it just comes off as tropical fruits, kind of generic. I'm not getting the different ones because I get that honey, a little bit of brown sugar, A little bit of varnish is coming in, which is giving me a little bit of a slight bitterness, slight off note, which I kind of associate with oak notes and maybe just a little bit of the youth. But man, Mike,
That's
beautiful.
That's a beautiful whiskey.
Absolutely stunning. I am blown away.
I've often said, like I said, I've always been a fan of this whiskey. I remember the first time I bought this whiskey thinking, wow, $100 plus tax for a 15-year-old whiskey is not cast strength. That's asking a lot. But for the first time, I decided to buy it anyway. And from the first time I had that thing, I was just like, oh my goodness, where has this been all my life? I mean, it is just an excellent whiskey. I remember you telling me, you were talking to some guys on Discord or whatever, and they've never had, big whiskey guys. They've never had a Balvenie 15 single.
I was shocked, yeah. I mean,
Wow.
I was talking with Matt, Whiskey Crusader. If you guys know Matt, guy's got 3,000 bottles of whiskey, and
Not one of those, huh?
apparently he didn't have a 15. I was flabbergasted.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've seen these. We're in Columbus. I've seen them all over in Cincinnati, like throughout the years. I know they were in Chicago. I know they were in Miami. I know they were in New York. I mean, again, these were available a lot of places. And we're going right into the 21. Dustin, you take a little sip of that. What do you think about comparatively?
Now, comparatively now, Mike, I am actually getting more. I'm getting more fruits on the palate here than on the nose, and I'm getting more fruit on this one versus the 15. But it's because this one doesn't have the mid-range that the 15 has. The 15 brings in that darker honey, a little darker oak, a little bit of that hint of brown sugar. This one doesn't have any brown sugar. The oak is just a little bit of spice and bitterness at the end.
Yep,
Creates a really nice, beautiful long finish. Finishes longer on this one. You do pick up that age difference. This is a little more refined, a little bit more delicate. Whereas this one's got a little more density and intensity.
Yeah, so far. Yeah, I agree. It's on this 21. You got vanilla, got a little bit of honey. And it transitioned very quickly into bitter.
Yep.
And then the finish, I don't think the finish was any better. I think the 15 probably had a superior finish to it just because of all the flavors that were still.
This one's
still
longer. The 21 a little longer, I think.
You know what I think that is? And again, I was thinking the same thing initially, but with the strong fruit notes that are on the 15, those fade away, and then what's left is that vanilla and honey. To where this is the vanilla and honey are the main players on the 21, and what subsides is the bitterness, which is a good thing. And then all that's left is that vanilla and honey, to where you're like, oh, that's a really nice finish because everything unpleasant disappeared. Where on the 15, most of the fruits disappeared, which I like, and all that's left is the vanilla and honey, but it's not as intense.
Yeah.
So it appears to peter off quicker.
And for me, this is more sour than bitter.
Yeah, I can say that. You're right. It is some sour.
Which is giving me like sour fruit notes. So I'm actually okay with that. But I think this one's got more spice on the finish from the oak and the age. So to me, that's where I'm getting a spicy oak finish. This one, less spicy oak.
Agreed.
And that makes this a little shorter, but more intense. Whereas this one, lighter, softer, more delicate, longer lasting.
Where I think the 15 just has a higher peak as far as taste, and it comes back down to about the same point, but it feels like a more substantial drop, which it is. All right, let's go to this 25.
Ooh, I gotta say, Mike, nose is really starting to open up on this one. I mean, we poured these probably 10 minutes before we got to the review, so maybe they hadn't quite opened up, but the nose has improved on the 25.
Boy, I tell you what, 25 again, a little boring compared to the same vanilla and honey, but when you swallow it instantly, the aftertaste, instantly it comes back with a strong kind of oaky wood note, with just a twinge of vanilla in there and just a tad bit of bitterness. What are you picking up? It was a little bit boring initially.
Yeah, there's actually an alcohol bite on the 25 over the others. A lot more oak than I expected.
Did the oak come back for you as soon as you swallowed and the oak came back?
I actually got a little bit of a Kentucky hug, if you believe it or not.
Really?
And we've been drinking, this is our fourth, glass. Yeah, I got a little bit of like a...
little fire?
Yeah.
Buddy, I tell you what, Balvenies seem like subtle whiskeys, but that don't mean they don't have a little bit of fire behind them. I mean, you know what it is? This is a gentleman. It doesn't mean he can't punch you hard.
Yeah.
He's wearing a suit, but he has, a good backhand.
Richer, a little more intense than the 22, not as intense as the 15. Finish is still, I think, a little shorter than the 22 for me, but more intense, a little more enjoyable. The 22 is just this
21.
dainty. Sorry.
Oh, 20. You're right.
It's a 22-year-old whiskey. I keep saying that.
Yeah, you keep saying 22, but you're right. But for the sake of understanding what we're saying, when we say 22, we mean the 21.
Yeah. It's daintier. It's softer. It's more delicate, but it's beautiful in every way it does. You know, insert a whiskey Bible joke that we're not going to make here.
Sure.
But
You know what?
25 is much more aggressive.
Yeah, I will say this: the 21 and the 25 are more similar whiskeys. The 15 feels like it stands out more than the other two whiskeys, just because it deviates from the consistent pattern. It feels like it adds more because it feels like they all have vanilla and honey to some degree. They all have a little bit of sourness to some degree. But the 15 just adds a richness and those tropical fruit notes, which there are many.
Yep.
Compared to these other two. I mean, these other two are a little woodier, a little oakier, true. But man, this 15 really stands out to me, at least initially right now.
It is the most unique of the three, for sure.
For sure. These other two are very, you can tell these are the same distillery and a very similar age whiskey.
Yeah, I mean, honest to God, if you like mix these up and gave them to me in 3 weeks from now,
We might say the wrong one.
I don't think I would guess right.
You would know that the 25 is more subdued, but they're both subtle whiskeys to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, and I might just be like, oh, well, today that 22 or 21 is tasting a little hotter than yesterday. Maybe it's what I ate.
But here's the big point. $650 for this 25, $250
Yeah.
for that 21. So 21's a much better
I
bottle.
think I'm hearing 300 in the States for some people, so.
That sounds about right.
And we're getting an extra 50 mLs, so.
Half the price
Yeah.
of the 25. That's no choice. Okay, so we had to water all these. So we're gonna give one another quick sniff, drink, and just give you our final thoughts.
15's gotten even more candied. I am getting a little bit of an off note,
A beautiful whiskey.
but it's a pleasant off note.
What a beautiful whiskey. The interaction with wood was so good with this one. I don't know if the age is different, so that's a sweet spot for their particular distillate. If not, the casks were better in this 15. This is a beautiful whiskey.
I'm not getting as much fruit now. I'm getting more like sugar. Beautiful. Yummy.
Syrup.
Yeah, almost like simple syrup.
Yeah. All right.
Simple syrup.
21 traditional.
Oh, it's gotten a little more cereal, more like bready and vanilla-y.
It's gotten with water more like the 25.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It kind of transitioned over here. I mean, they're all the same ABV, 47.5.
Oh, man.
You would think the 25 it has less water because it's older whiskey. You know what I mean?
I absolutely love the way this smells, man.
Yeah, it's a beautiful smelling whiskey.
God, I love the way this smells. Oh my God. It does have a little bitterness on the end.
It does. Sour. Bitter sour.
Well, earlier it was sour, now it's bitter.
It's going back and forth, isn't it?
Yeah.
It reminds that note. You get that note, that bitter sour note, so distinctly in the 12 single barrel. Like,
Yeah.
Like if you want to know what we're talking about and you can't miss it, I'm telling you, get the Balvenie 12 single barrel. The only one we don't have here. You know exactly what we mean by that bitter sour.
Yeah. The finish is still, again, for me, it's lasting longer. But I'll tell you what, when it transitioned from mid palate to finish, it was a drop off because the mid palate was that sweet, buttery.
The 21
bready,
does
vanilla.
have a disjointed mid palate for whatever reason. Like it's good start, smell, good start, nothing, nice finish.
Yeah. But
It's almost like a record player that skipped.
water enhanced that disconnect and disjointedness to
It's
it.
longer.
Yeah.
Instead of
But
being a
again,
moment,
I'm
now
still
it's 3.
tasting this quite well, whereas the 15, again, for me, dropped off a little quicker. Interesting. Okay, the 25, the nose has gone downhill. Water did not help.
Thinned out. What I know is 47.8, or at least it says it's
Getting more
47.8. But yeah, it made it an oak bomb. It almost reminds me of the Ton 1509 batch 4 when you first open it. Almost overly oaked.
Getting that glue, man.
But again, this is 29-year-old whiskey. You know what I mean? That's 30 years to spend in a single barrel.
Yeah, but I'm not getting like the leathers or the
No.
varnish or the book covers.
I'm not really getting I'm not getting 30-year-old whiskey. I'm
Yeah.
getting some of the negative elements of whiskey in a cask for 30 years.
Yeah,
If that makes any sense.
it comes off like those casks were a little too past their prime, even for a 30-year-old whiskey, which
I agree.
effectively this almost is. Still, I mean, I like it. It's enjoyable, but yeah, it's not doing much for me, Mike.
I agree. All right, so how would we rate these three? So just one more time as far as price, the Balvenie 15-year-old single barrel, we haven't paid more than $100 for any of these. You pick them up for 80 plus tax a year or so.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're looking at 200 to 350.
About. But we always got these things for $100. 21, we both picked these up for about 250 plus shipping, 280. The 25, 650. Man, this was steep whiskey. Having said that, price aside, just going blatantly on the whiskey experience itself. If I'm at a bar and I want to enjoy myself and someone offers me any of these 3 whiskeys, and I'm being honest with myself and not trying to be a snob, I'm going to pick the 15. I'm going to pick second the 21, and I'm going to pick the 25 dead last as far as enjoyability.
Same.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I will say this.
I would have thought that.
I will say this. The 25 and 21 are close enough. Water, however, this one did so much better with water. This did not.
There's a reason they only made this 25 a couple of years.
Yeah.
And maybe it was price point, but I mean,
Well, price point's a big issue there. That's a really expensive bottle. This was expensive back before the price hikes we've been seeing.
Oh yeah.
Like the last couple of years, we've seen prices go crazy. This was crazy before the price hikes.
Oh yeah. Before, yeah.
Like, and the bottles you're seeing sitting around are 2, 3, 4 years old these days. They're not new bottles. I mean, they're getting so old that you need to start checking the corks before you buy them.
You know, they started doing these. I think the first time I saw one was like 2014 or something like that, and this one was 2018. But it seemed like they started like the in the cast date on a lot of these 25s were 1989 or 1990. I don't know what it has to do with it, but I have only seen those 2 dates as far as start dates of the ones I've seen around here, and nothing else. So it's only like they made them for a couple of years and that was it. And, you know, and maybe they weren't pleased with the result. I tell you what, there is absolutely no reason, if you have availability for all these tiers, there's no reason to buy the 25.
No, I mean, I think if you can get them, these 2 in their price range are stunners.
Good price range.
This is incredibly overpriced.
Incredibly overpriced. Now, you're right, secondary, these 15s go for about $200, $250, something like that.
That's not too far out of what it tastes like.
Well, I tell you what, on that website we looked at, the 15 was more expensive than the 21.
Yeah, where we bought this one, it was $250. These were $350.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, I would have a hard time paying $350 for this. But you know, I'd probably pay $350 for this again, as dumb as that sounds, because of the 25-year age statement on here. But it is absolutely the least of these 3 whiskeys. And I hate to say that because I'm the one that bought it.
Yeah, I mean, this costs more than these 2 combined.
Yeah,
significantly more.
and it's the least of those whiskeys.
Because this was like combined like
under $400.
Under $400. This is a $250 more.
You could literally get almost 4 of these, 2 of each for one of these cost.
Yeah, I mean that's incredible.
It's
when's the last time, Mike, we said the youngest whiskey in a comparison was the better and significantly better? This is way better.
Again, if you'd have told me in the beginning, where do you think you're at, I would have gone down the age statement list. But you know what? This is why I don't ever feel the pressure to do things blind. Because if I made a mistake buying this for $650, so be it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was kind of hoping you'd pick this one over this one, just so we could disagree.
It's not. I mean, I got this one too. I got all these. We both got all these. Well,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We both.
I don't have a 25, and
yeah,
I don't have a 25 because the first time Mike and I got together, this was the first whiskey we drank, and I said, "That's really good." I'm not paying $600.
Yeah, nothing special, and that's basically where I'm at now. Anyway,
that said, single barrel. Maybe some bottles are gonna hit better than that one.
Absolutely.
That could be. Maybe we got no, because we've had a couple of these 15s. They're all pretty darn similar. So I don't think this is an outlier.
No.
This could be because we both have the same barrel.
Yeah.
Because we bought it from the same place.
Yeah, so that could be one.
And this is the only 25 I've had. I don't know if you've had another different barrel.
No, it was still the 6006 barrel.
So you bought it from the same store.
Same store. Bought 3 from So
yeah.
That's what it was. Actually, I did buy 3, so I did.
So if you guys have examples of better barrels of the 25 and you want to just send them our way,
I'll send you one of these back. We'll trade samples.
Definitely.
We'll see if something's better.
I'd love to. Steve and Connor, we're talking to you.
So if you guys had one or all of these, let us know what you guys think. Were we too harsh on the 25? I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, again, beautiful whiskey. These are all beautiful whiskeys, but I think we said 87, 88 range on this one. Yeah,
if you want to give me scores, I'd go 88, 87, 86 and a half, which is crazy, man. I think initially when I reviewed this, I gave it a 90.
See, this is getting in that 89, 90 range.
You're right. It's getting 89. You're right.
Like, I mean, to me, if this is still on the market under $100, it's the best bottle of whiskey under $100. And I'm including Elijah Craig Barrel Proof for all of you, bourbon guys who keep saying it's the greatest value. This would be the greatest value.
It was a great value. Remember that and the 18 for $100. Like I bought those bottles. Whenever I saw those bottles, I bought them.
If they brought this back at the $130 they're charging for the sherry cask,
it'd be fun.
I'd buy 5 right now.
It's great whiskey.
It's incredibly great whiskey.
All right. Well, anyway, those are our thoughts on Balvenie single barrel traditional cask ex-bourbon whiskey. Besides the 12. Dustin, until next time, folks.
Happy drinking.
We'll see you then.